Yes, sir. Mr. Anderson said he had a scheduling conflict and could not be here. Mr. Berry just called me or sent me a text, and he is tied up. Mr. Harbermeyer?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Isbell? Have not heard from him. Mr. McInnes?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer? Here. Ms. Templeton?
Here.
Mr. Wright? Have not heard from him. You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And approval of the agenda.
So
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That's approved. Citizens delegations present. Is there any presentation for later?
It'll be for later, yes,
Yes,
sir,
okay.
with the approval of the committee, yes, sir.
All right. No further on that. Approval of the minutes. I will have to abstain. I was not present for the last. I don't think the minutes were included in the packet though, were they?
They should have been with the email, yes, sir.
I missed that then. Is everybody ready to vote on that? I'll abstain. Have a motion to second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I abstain. All right, it's approved. Financial report.
Okay, if you take this and look, you'll see that we spent like 14% of our budget. If you look over on the one that says balance sheet, in LGIP, we've got $781,000. In the bank, we've got $3,955,661, a total of $4,736,781.30.
All right, any questions? Have a motion for approval? Motion second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, passes unanimous. Aye. All right. County Mayor's report.
No report.
No report. Moving on. ECD Director's report.
Yes, sir. All right, a couple things I want to bring to your attention. We have hired Rich Shockley as our system administrator, and he is here today, so I want to bring him by and introduce him officially. I sent you all an email about him a few weeks back and introduced him. So he's already jumped in head first into our IT, and he says a piece of cake and a cakewalk there. So he's not worried about it.
Beer's more like it.
So the detail was called.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's good. That's good.
He has jumped in and learned a lot. So we've got him with Robert a little bit, Ken Smithers on the CAD side, and with Intranet our network partners there. So he's certainly learning a lot. So glad to have him on board.
Important position. We appreciate it.
Certainly glad to have somebody there full time and can tend to the needs. So thank you for that. Tina is coming up in a couple of weeks in Murfreesboro, and if anybody is interested in going, I can still get you in there. So I know I've heard from one that wants to go, so if anybody else wants to go, let me know and I can get you in.
That's the 26th.
24th, it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So you can do day passes or the whole week, whichever one you want to go with there, so just let me know. So, our AVPN connection through AT&T, I've talked about this a few times. This is paid for by the state. They contracted with AT&T to give you 2 hard lines into the center and a third connection via FirstNet Wireless for 911. So that was finally implemented, went live on the 22nd of August during testing. Pretty neat to see. Of course, some people like that, but they had a 911 call going. They pulled the plug to the hardwire connections, and still through FirstNet Wireless, they were able to maintain that 911 call. So
that's awesome.
Pretty agents have that as well.
That's
so
pretty good.
That's in line. As far as GIS goes, Crystal is going through and she's updating the structure types across the county. Of course, having, I don't know how many structures we have in the GIS system, but there are thousands. So she's painstakingly going through that and making sure that those are all up to date and correct. Just a few more numbers there, just for whatever it's worth. We go through a ticket system now through the county, and so we can keep track of all of our address requests. We can keep up with any address changes, anything at all basically that comes in from the public. The only thing that we don't keep up with too much is if somebody calls in and asks for a confirmation of an address. For instance, if Cumberland Electric calls up and they want to verify an address, we send them a letter, and if the city of Gallatin wants to confirm something for permits, we can send them a letter that way. So we don't keep up with those. But on average, we're taking about 59.4 tickets per month. The last 60 days, we've got 129. So just a couple of numbers there to throw out at you that we are keeping up with some statistics, and we're certainly busy during the week when we don't have those tickets. And that is all of our reports, Mr. Vice Chairman.
All right. Any questions? All right. ECC Director reports. Have you need word?
Miss Davis was going to come over and she was supposed to give me her report. She got caught at the last minute and I don't have that. I know that she hired 5 or 6 folks. I believe they started today. I think turnover is about average, so I don't think that she's lost a lot, but she has hired, like I said, 6 folks that started today. I think she's maybe looking to extend an employment offer to 1 more, I believe. Nothing else big on the DCC front. We did, I forgot to mention this in my report, we did have a failure on Wednesday night with our power store, which is our backroom hardware. Totally unexpected. Rich has been going through the logs extensively since last Wednesday to figure out what happened. Fortunately, we're all pretty either close to the ECC or we were able to remote in and make some changes. We were able to reroute our admin lines, our 911 lines. Of course, made all the notifications to the client agencies, and we were down for about 45 minutes for CAD, admin, and 911 phones. Got those back up, and we've been in contact with Internet as well, trying to figure out what's going on here. The piece of equipment that we think is the cause of it is a new piece of equipment. It's only been in for about a year, so that should be handled by Dell. If there's anything that is structurally wrong with it, it can be fixed. So we are in the process of making sure that that gets corrected. And other than that, I don't think that the ECC had any other report.
All right, very good. Moving on to old business. CAD RMS update.
The vendor coming in tomorrow, Caliber. We saw them at the APCO conference. I'm sorry, the APCO conference in Nashville. They look pretty decent, so we want them to come in and give us a demo so we can see what they look like. They're coming in tomorrow. We have a meeting with the CAD and RMS committee on Thursday, so we'll evaluate what the committee would like to do, and of course we'll bring that back to you and give you an update there. And if it's where we're going to ask to move to a different vendor, then we'll certainly ask for your approval there. So nothing else as far as the CAD and RMS update.
Any questions? All right, moving forward to new business. Console management system and CSOP upgrade.
Yes, sir. So if it pleases the committee, I asked Brad Adams with Comtech to come in. Brad, if you don't know, Comtech has been the administrator of our radio system for several years countywide, and they still continue to maintain our consoles and radio system at the ECC. The console management system and the CSOP upgrade is something that we've been looking at since October of last year. I believe I added in the quote that Brad gave us last year. So we went back and forth on that, and so finally Christy and I have decided this is probably something that we should move forward with. But it pleases the committee. Brad's much smarter than I am and can probably explain things where I won't muddy them up. So if you don't mind allowing Brad a few minutes to explain the console management system.
May I sit or you rather than stand? Come on. The console management system is a new product from the manufacturer of the console that's been out for about a year or so now. But what it affords the ECC is something that they really need desperately, and that is to be able to use what's called an alias in the console. Every radio in the radio system has a unit ID that is 7 to 8 digits long. And the way it's broken down, if you understand the structure of it, you can interpret it and know. Paul knows what I'm talking about specifically. He helped us with the fleet map when we did it. You can tell if the unit is mobile or portable. Fire truck. One of the biggest problems ECC has is with fire trucks and ambulances and things of that nature. Their numbers are very cryptic. And fire truck has more than one radio on it. It has one in the front, one in the back. They've got portables for each seat in the truck. So when a firefighter gets in trouble in a fire or something happens and they're calling Mayday, it's hard for them to discern, looking at those numbers, who that is. The console management system gives us the ability to create aliases in the console that take that 8-digit number and break it down to firefighter seat A, B, C, D, or the driver or the captain or the pump panel or whatever on a fire truck. Same thing with an ambulance. Same thing with a police officer with a portable on his hip. You can make it say his name if you want to. But what this console management system does is it gives us the ability to change those things quickly on the fly. One of the big problems with unit IDs in law enforcement and public safety is your radio system has about 2,500 to 3,000 subscribers for radios, a portable radio, a mobile radio in a vehicle, or a radio in the dispatch center. So you program all those unit IDs to mean something when you build the system. As time goes by, law enforcement officers get promoted from patrol captain to lieutenant to sergeant to whatever, and instead of them taking the radio that they had and going, they get the other guy's radio that has the thing, but their number's still the same, or their number changes. And now they're identifying as 501, and the radio ID says they're 510. So the dispatcher has no way of knowing that that change has taken place. So this system gives the ECC a big advantage in being able to get daily rosters from law enforcement and knowing which officer's got which radio, and you can actually go in and make those changes just that quick. And that way the name that shows up on the console when the radio talks is Officer Johnson, portable, or something like that, or it's ladder 1 cab, or ladder 1 pump, or ladder 1 firefighter seat A, or something like that. Something that has meaning to it. That's the biggest advantage to this right now for the ECC. And I know that Mike has put forth a lot of effort, and we've given him some names of actually were able to show it to them at the AFCO show a few weeks back when that was in town. The other thing that this particular manufacturer is doing is they're moving their product towards everything that comes along, like new features and things like that, are going to be managed by this system. So that's why it's a really good time for them, if everybody sees fit, to upgrade them to the latest version. The CSOFT part of this is the software that runs on the computers at the ECC. 25 positions, 18 at the center on Airport Road, and 7 up at the HPD site, which is the backup site. And when you have to make these changes in those positions individually, very time consuming. This system allows you to make those changes in the management system and then push it out to each position, and saves a lot of time and effort on that part. But going forward, any new features and things like that that were added to it are going to be, this is going to be necessary. Current, right now, it's going to be necessary then in order to have those features. Got a huge concession from the manufacturer that giving us the software upgrade in exchange for them purchasing the console management system itself. And that deal, I was told by the manufacturer that at the end of the year, the price point's going to change, and that deal will no longer be available at that time. And that's no pressure. I'm just putting it out.
And that's software upgrade. So we just went from 7.5 to 7.7, right?
Yes, and the way the software upgrade works, you start out at version 6. You have to pay for the upgrade to version 7. As long as you're on 7, you get upgrades all the way through 7, incremental upgrade. And now we're at the point 7.7 is the last version of version 7, and the next version is 8. So you're supposed to buy it, but I talked to the manufacturer when we were trying to do the pricing on this, and told them, I said, they got a lot of seats, they've got a faithful customer, they maintain their faith, using the product, so I think you need to help them out. And so they offered to give us the software upgrade to version 8 at no cost if they purchase the CMS.
So the quote that Brad gave us, which most of it, only 10% of it is context fees, but everything else total was $60,583.20 for CMS and the CSOFT upgrade.
Might add one other thing about this too. In that system, since you have the two sites, it's a redundant system. So there's a server that lives at the ECC, and there'll be another one that lives at HPD. They are both talking to each other, so if this one down here fails, this one up here takes over, or vice versa. And if something happens to the ECC and it becomes a smoking hole in the ground, you can still manage the consoles and things that are at the other place with what's there. So it is fully redundant.
Good point. Looking for a motion. So, yes, to tell you what, if I can get the motion, I want to explain one more thing. Yes, sir. So moved. Second. Thank you. You appropriated $50,000 for us to get new cameras a few months ago. In talking to Christie, we would much rather have this than the cameras if that's an either-or thing. So, if the committee pleases, we would like to take that $50,000 that you appropriated for cameras, put it towards this, and of course add 10,583.20 so we can purchase this. And then we'll forego cameras and we'll work on that next year.
Next year's budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
As money
Did we
is.
get a pretty good one, some back at the same time?
We did, I can tell you exactly if I can find that. Well, any other time, excess fund balance, 43,177 is what we got that was not anticipated. And then of course the other excess part was 245,294. So we're roughly close to 289,000 what we got in excess of funding in the 23 fiscal year that we had not planned on. Yes, sir.
So that should pay.
It'll pay for it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So any other, we got a motion and a second, approved, so any other questions, or do you have any?
Just if, based on what I just had suggested, just need to know if you'd rather do that, take that 50,000 from the cameras and put it towards this and add 10,583.20.
What's your input as far as comfort level, as far as spending, what your allocation is in your budget, and looking at that next year? What's your recommendation from your perspective as director?
So this would be new funding. This would be new money that we've added to the budget. But, and I will also ask Ms. Templeton on this. I think we're in pretty good shape financially, and we didn't spend our budget last year, and I don't anticipate it this year either. So.
You think we have trouble? What we can pay for both of them?
I don't think so. The cameras are what they are, and I mean while they're not as good as what we'd like to have. I think this would help dispatchers so much more. Would help the whole agency on a day-to-day basis that we could actually see.
On your priority level, this obviously is
CMS and the upgrade is our priority over the cameras. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll certainly move forward with the motion that was on the floor was to take the 50,000 allocate. That's what the motion, unless you want to withdraw and add this motion.
That's less 50,000.
So you take 50's already allocated for cameras, take 10, whatever, from fund balance, and then.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So in that case, a new 10,583.20 in appropriation. Yes.
Would have to be appropriate. That's the motion on the floor.
Yes.
Any other questions or conversation or debate? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you. 10-day passes for all employees, 9/26. I would like for all of the ECD employees to attend one day of the TINA conference. I think 9/26 is going to give them the most benefit, and I would ask your permission that we can close the office on 9/26 only so the employees can attend the TINA conference.
I think that's, to my perspective, that's your call, and I certainly support that. I don't know that it needs I think it's local, it's beneficial, and I think you should take advantage of it, so we certainly support that. Unless you, oh yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. It's down in Murfreesboro.
Yes, sir.
I certainly support your decision on that.
Thank you, sir. C, the director's bond, no change in there, just for the rest of 23 and 24, and that should have been in the attachment as well.
All right. Any other conversation, discussion, questions? Motion to have a motion to adjourn. In a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.